It's Jen and Julian, and you are listening to episode 28 of X Appeal. Okay.
Yeah.
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 So we are back. I am now a mother. So I guess that's the
Not you at all right now. I'm letting you start the whole thing. I'm just staying silent.
What do you want me to say? I'm a mom. I'm officially a mom.
Yeah. I mean, you've been officially a mom for a month now.
Yeah. But is this the first time we're talking that I'm a mom?
Yeah. No, well, last week we did.
Yeah.
And like now it's like we're gonna dive a little bit deeper in this whole new mom thing.
Yeah, now that I've had time to process, because he's a month old today, which is nuts. Like, I can't believe that time went by so fast.
Which, when this would be airing, he would be a month and 2 weeks old.
Yeah.
A month and a half.
So, all right. So I delivered on November 17th.
Yeah, and that was a little bit of an emergency.
Yeah. So I'll just, okay. Like, and I'll kind of walk you through what happened.
Yeah.
I go for my last OBGYN appointment.
Mm-hmm.
This is like my last, prenatal doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
And we get the ultrasound, heart rate's fine, ultrasound's fine, but she said your amniotic fluid levels are super low. So whatever this means, she said last week you were at a 17, this week you're at a 6. So they dropped so much that like it's a sign of some kind of problem.
Okay.
And she wasn't sure what it was. So she was like, we're going to induce you tonight. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get to meet my son like way sooner than I thought.
What does inducing mean?
So inducing means they're going to force you into labor. So like your body's not there yet, but they induce you for a number of reasons. You can be induced because the baby's, it's not developing the way it should, or sometimes women just have arbitrary induction days where it's like, I want to know what day I'm going to see him or her. So,
and how do they do that? They give you a medicine or?
So yeah, I go in and they give me, they give me a pill that's supposed to soften up your cervix and dilate you. The first one didn't work, so they gave me a second one. The second one wasn't working that great either. So then we get the epidural, and
so I
always heard crazy things about the epidural. Like it's a long needle that goes in your back near your spine.
And what is that supposed to help with?
It's supposed to numb you from the waist down.
Mm-hmm.
And so at first, and by the way, I have to say, for anybody who's like pregnant or wanting to become pregnant, and you're worried about the epidural, do not be worried about that. That shit is relatively painless, I would say. I felt like a small pinch and that was it. Because they were super great about it. But I had all this anxiety going in because, you hear like of men like passing out when they see like how long the needle is.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. So a few minutes later, I start to feel real good. like to the point where like, I walked into the hospital, I had pelvic pain, I was cramping, just stuff that happens to you at month 9 of pregnancy. You just feel bad overall, uncomfortable, but this took everything away like right away. So I was feeling great. My back wasn't hurting anymore.
No, you're not feeling anything below your pelvis.
And then it started to get scary because I really felt nothing. Like I did not feel my legs. I've never had that sensation before. So like I touched my leg and it didn't feel like my leg. It felt like somebody else's leg. So I started panicking and I was like, Jared, like, can you just move my one leg? Can you just move it for me just to make sure that it's still there? I don't know, like still attached to my body or still, that I can actually still sort of move it.
Yeah.
So God love him. But epidural was awesome. And then it got scary because I couldn't feel anything. So then they start shooting me up with Pitocin, it's supposed to induce contractions. Like it's supposed to heighten contractions and intensify contractions. That wasn't working. So then they say we're gonna do a Foley balloon, which is they insert a balloon into your vagina and they blow it up, and it's supposed to dilate your cervix. And that was the only thing that started to work. And I was dilating, and I was having regular contractions because I could only see on the monitor. I couldn't feel shit. Like I couldn't feel anything. So I could only tell I was having a contraction when I could see like the dip on the monitor.
Yeah.
And you had nurses coming in like every 20 minutes or so, just to check your vitals, check your blood pressure, make sure everything was fine. So then there was one point where they checked they pulled out the Foley balloon, checked how dilated I was. I think I was like maybe 4 or 5 centimeters dilated. You have to be 10 centimeters in order to be ready for labor. And so I was making progress, but I was 26 hours into labor. So yeah. So then they they insert a fetal Doppler to monitor the baby's heart into my vagina. And right after that, the baby's heart rate started dropping.
Okay.
Like significantly.
Why? What's the cost?
I don't know. We still don't really know. I don't think that was what exactly caused it, but he moved in a way that his heart rate was dropping. And so they turned me on one side and it wasn't helping. They turned me on my other side. That wasn't helping. So she said, all right, I'm going to press a button and you're going to see a lot of people rush in here. Yeah. But we have to get you on all fours. Like you got to get on all fours right now because the baby's heart rate's dropping and we have to bring it up.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, that's great, but I can't feel my legs. Like I can't get on all fours because I can't get up. Like my whole body from like my waist down felt like a lead rock.
Yeah.
So, and it's true. She pressed a button. All these doctors and nurses like rush in, and it got really serious, really fast.
Really serious, yeah.
And I just remember being on like all fours, like naked from the waist down, like didn't know who was in the room. I turned to Jared and I start like crying.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, what's happening? And I was like thinking to myself, like, this is not how it's going to go down. Like I did not carry this baby for 9 months to like go home to a nursery full of baby stuff with no baby. Like this is not how it's going to happen. So
Jared probably is also aware of everything that's happening.
He was, but he was scared shitless. Of course he was scared.
He knows more than you.
Yeah, but he knew that was like normal for a bunch of nurses and doctors to rush in the room all at once. But it's scary for a patient because you really don't know like how serious it actually is.
Yeah. So
they put me on a gurney and they wheel me into the operating room. And
still while you're on all fours?
No, they just said, we're going to take you to the operating room now. Like,
let's do it.
We might have to take, this might be a cesarean section. We don't know. Yeah. So they wheel me in. Jared's not there. So I'm like panicking and like crying and whatever. And we get to the operating room and the baby's heart rate starts going up again.
Oh, okay.
Great. Cool. And they were like, okay, well, we're just going to keep you in here for like 20 minutes. And odds are you're going to go back to the same room that you left. But this is good news. So as soon as this is like a couple of minutes later, as soon as my doctor, my OBGYN walks in the room, the baby's heart rate starts crashing.
Again. Okay.
So normal baby heart rate is like 150 at that age. He was 74. Okay. So like it was really bad. So the doctor like looked at me and she said, she said, Jen, this baby is not going to make it 12 hours. If we still keep down the same path and try to induce. And I said, just cut me open, take the baby out, please. Do whatever you have to do. So yeah, they put me on the on the operating table and I was like just so disoriented, like not really knowing what was happening around me because everything was kind of frenzied. Jared walks in the room. They shoot me up with this like it was like adrenaline. Get the baby's heart rate back up again. And they said, you're going to feel like you drank like 16 cups of coffee. And I'm like, all right. So my heart starts racing.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm breathing fast because I'm like, it feels like you're about to take the stage and like you're all hyped up. And then they start telling me to calm down.
It's like,
They're like,
yeah, you just
breathing
gave
too
me.
fast, slow your breathing. Do it for the baby. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, I don't know what exactly to do right now. So then I start feeling super nauseous.
Mm.
And like every minute it intensifies like tenfold. And so they brought over a barf bag and Jared like grabbed my hand. He was like, how are you feeling? I just start vomiting immediately, like uncontrollably. Then I start shaking, like uncontrollably shaking. And they throw the curtain over, which I've seen a million times, C-section curtain. They throw it over, and the doctor has said something like, "Everybody ready?" And literally 1 minute later is when the nurse said, "Look at your son," and they lifted him up, and then he started crying.
Yeah,
and it was the best. It was the best sound I've ever heard in my life.
I was going to ask how long from them starting to the baby being out. It took about a minute.
It took a minute.
Wow.
It took 6 minutes from the time the doctor made the call to do the cesarean section. So I had what's called
everybody ready and everything. Yeah, but a minute to
what's called a crash emergency C-section, which is different from an emergency C-section. Crash emergency C-section is usually done under 10 minutes. And they have to like inject you with another dose of what do you call it? Of the epidural that I got. So I really couldn't feel anything like at all. If I couldn't feel anything before, I was like out of body, like after that.
How long till you start feeling your legs again?
It was a good 3 hours before I started feeling. Yeah.
The best feeling though, knowing that you can feel them again. It's like, oof.
Yeah. It was a relief because I was like a little panicked. I'm like, am I ever going to be able to feel my legs again? Am I going to be able to walk again? All these things that go through your mind. But
are you a little bit happier that you went through C-section than if you went natural? No? Why?
No. I'm happy that he's alive and I'm happy that he's healthy. But the recovery time on a C-section is way worse than vaginal delivery, unless you have an episiotomy, which is where they cut you. But with C-section, you have to be in the hospital for at least 4 days, as opposed to 2 days for vaginal delivery. And I've never felt pain like that before, to the point where I couldn't even speak. Like after the pain meds wore off.
The pain meds, yeah. How big is the
incision?
Yeah.
It's like maybe about that big.
Okay.
But it's over your bikini line. So you really can't. They did a phenomenal job at like where they cut it and everything. You can barely see it. But it's a lot of shifting. They literally shift your organs around. So
right.
I'm still tender, like a month out. I'm still definitely tender in my lower abdomen. But and for the first like week, I had to take Norco like every day on top of Tylenol and ibuprofen.
What's Norco for?
It's a pain medication.
Yeah.
But I'm not like a pill person.
Yeah.
So I stopped taking it as soon as I could stop taking it. But yeah, that was the most terrifying experience of my life. And I was so happy that he was just safe. And he was only 6 pounds, 3 ounces, which is very small.
Is it?
Yeah. It's on the smaller side for a baby, but they had the NICU on standby in case there were any complications. But basically what happened was, the reason his heart dropped, his cord was wrapped around his neck and his chest.
That's why. So he couldn't breathe.
Yeah. And I had a very tiny placenta. So, and the baby wasn't developing anymore past a certain stage. So like, it was only going to get worse. Basically, they couldn't rely on my old dried up placenta anymore. My wilting placenta. They actually sent that off to pathology to figure out what the hell the problem was. And it was just small. That's all. But it's all the shit that you don't even think about. They don't tell you. Of course, they don't tell you because they don't want you to panic. But man, and then so they have you breastfeed like immediately.
Yeah,
the baby comes out like as soon as you're able. But man, he was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. Even though he was blue and covered in cheese, like he was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Ugh.
You know, I know a woman who, when she gave birth, like everything ripped down there, and
Yeah.
when
Vaginal delivery?
yeah, like, and it was, I think, rough for like 6 months because it
Yeah.
didn't heal properly and stuff. So sometimes, obviously, as a guy, from when you're not experiencing it, it's definitely like so much easier for us to like think, go like give an opinion when we are not in the situation. But it would make me think like, man, maybe the C-section done properly and planned ahead might be like the
Some
easiest
people say it is. Yeah. Some people say it
recovery.
is a
And,
little bit easier.
if you have, like you say, you have a small little line, a little scar that you could always kind of get
Yeah.
revived by a surgeon. And then also, I'm not sure how accurate it is about like the inside of the vagina feeling different post delivery if you go natural, like regular, like
I don't know. I mean, I don't know because I never got that. But from
you
what
hear
I've
in
been told,
movies, like in comedy movies or whatever, it's like, yeah, after I gave birth, my vagina, blah, got all
yeah,
whatever. I don't know if
it's
that's
stretched
true.
out, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, the vagina is like an elastic thing, so like it can adapt. But I do know, like my friends who've had vaginal deliveries have said that they're sore down there for a while.
Yeah.
And one thing that I didn't realize is the amount of bleeding that would happen. Like it was pretty bad for like a couple of days, like alarming.
Because you're bleeding from your scar, from where you're exposed. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, you're just and this is like first you're bleeding from the surgery, but then you're also bleeding afterward because the uterus is getting back to normal.
Yeah.
So it's like having a period. I know this is like all TMI for you, but that's kind of how it feels, and it's spontaneous now. So like I have to I have to wear adult diapers every day, just in case, something happens. I'll have to wear them for a while.
Oh.
Yeah, because I heard that you can bleed for months. And I started breastfeeding, so now my breast milk has come in, which means every time he cries, or every time I look at pictures of him,
your body's
start to leak.
Yeah, that's crazy. How it works, huh?
Yeah. So I have a whole tub of like what do you call it? They're like nipple pads.
Yeah.
That soak up the breast milk that leaks. So I'm like leaking from all orifices.
Wow.
Right now. And let me just get on like a real quick soapbox real quick, because the idea that they're talking about reversing Roe versus Wade to me is
what does that mean? I have no idea what that means.
It's about abortions, like legalizing abortions. So the idea that could be reversed by the Supreme Court is disgusting to me. Now, knowing all of the stuff that you have to go through being pregnant and postpartum. And I had a really good partner throughout all of this. For someone who's, I don't know, not equipped to have a child, or who's not ready in their life to have a child, or who gets raped, or it wasn't their choice to have a child. Now, essentially forcing a woman to give birth, and then not just that, but we are the only developed nation in the world that doesn't offer, I think, federal paternity leave, or family leave, which I think is also so. Not only are you basically forcing a woman to have a child, but you're not giving her the opportunity to take care of the child in the way that she should.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, like it is not for the faint of heart.
That's
both caring and delivering. That was not what I anticipated.
Seeing the last basically like 9 months plus the delivery, do you feel like if you could in 5 years have another kid, would you go through it again?
I know that you forget. Women quickly forget what the whole ordeal was like. And there are some aspects of it that I have already forgotten that I feel like, all right, I could probably do this again. For me, it's I'm 37. Like I would not want to have a kid past 40 just because, and I know that if you have a C-section once, you're likely to have another C-section.
Okay.
I just don't want, I feel like he's perfect. And I feel like I'm so lucky to have him here that I don't know if I'd want to risk having another one.
Yeah. And so then how long until you said 6 weeks, right? Before you can start like working out or any of that stuff?
Yeah, so you're cleared for like to be medically cleared after 6 weeks. It takes 6 weeks basically to get medical clearance to work out or have sex again.
Oh, and so talking about that, because last time we had an episode about you and sex drive being a little bit lower. Now that you've delivered, has this come back, or are you still because of?
No,
No,
it is not. It is not.
It hasn't come back up yet.
No.
You guys are probably also like all in baby mode, right? So
it is the most exhausting. It is the most exhausting thing that I've ever done. I used to work a morning show, so this is like I kind of feel like I'm working a morning show right now on the schedule. So basically, what happens is Jared does until 2 a.m. and then I do 2 a.m. until so like we do it in like shifts of 6 hours a piece.
okay.
So I take overnight and he takes care of Ethan until 2 a.m. And we've kind of come up with a system.
So then you do 2 to 6, you do 2 to 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And then 8 a.m. till 2 you sleep?
Take care of him like during the day.
Got it.
So I'm sleeping probably about an average of like 5 hours.
Yeah.
And then napping whenever he sleeps.
You can nap a little bit. Yeah.
So he's up every 2 to 3 hours to feed.
Mm-hmm.
And I alternate between like pumping. So I'm like pumping breast milk and then bottle feeding doing formula as a supplement just to get his weight up.
Yeah.
Because he was so small.
Put a little weight gainer, like protein in there too.
Oh my God. A lot of babies lose weight like after the hospital because a lot of the weight they gained was, through amniotic fluid.
Yeah.
So he actually, instead of losing weight, gained weight.
Okay.
So he's been doing great.
He's putting on some of that mass.
It's the crying. The crying is very difficult.
Yeah.
The crying is like, I try my best to tune it out. Jared has noise canceling headphones, but it is an absolute round the clock job. Yeah. I know that that's like a cliche for a mom to say, but it really is. I was kind of ambivalent towards kids before I had one.
Yeah.
I always looked at screaming babies as super annoying, kids as kind of annoying too, but I did not anticipate loving something so much.
Yeah.
Immediately.
How long till you
for that? I would do anything for this child. I would lay down my life for this child without question.
Yeah.
That's how much I love him. And I don't even really know him that well.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like that's a natural instinct for every parent, knowing it's yours.
Not every parent. I mean, sometimes, listen, like I've heard everything from I didn't bond with my baby, for months. Like a lot of dads too. It's tough because they don't have that 9 months of like carrying the baby in their belly. Yeah. So it takes them a little bit longer for a lot of dads.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. So you already feel like, as a mom, you feel like you already know him already. And you've just bonded in that way for 9 straight months. And then when he's here, it's just, I can't stop staring at him because I'm like, I can't believe that he's here. And I can't believe that I made this. And for the first 2 weeks after we brought him home from the hospital, I couldn't stop crying.
Yeah.
I know that the baby blues is a real thing. Like for 80% of women, I think it is, it's like a hormonal dump. Like all the hormones that was necessary to care for a child in the womb, that all, gets released in different ways. And you're like, your body's leveling out. So I didn't realize that I would feel super euphoric and super happy, but also cry because of that. So it all these conflicting feelings, it didn't make any sense. But yeah, things have just started to level out. He's about a month old now, and I'm tired, but it's just like the best kind of job you could ever hope for.
Worth it.
It is so worth it. It is so worth it.
And how long are you gonna wait before you take him on a trip on the plane? Before you're that person?
Before I'm that person. I don't think I ever want to be that person, but I know that, you know, based on my friend's experience, like the more you take your kid with you to travel, and expose you know, your child like to your friends and different situations, like going out to lunch or dinner or whatever, the more you expose them to crowds, the better they'll behave.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you want to get them like socialized.
My dad didn't do that with his last kid, who's 7. And man, it was like as soon as it was 7 p.m., he was in bed upstairs. And the mom, as soon as like I couldn't even listen to a video on my laptop downstairs.
Yeah.
So I was like, shh, sleeping. I was like, I'm 1 floor down listening to the laptop, the sound of my laptop.
Yeah.
While he's sleeping. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You'll sleep through it. Don't like, you know. So I'm glad that you're kind of like, you know, because they'll sleep through it.
Listen, the baby slept through jackhammering. The baby slept through like all the construction that's happening in my apartment right now. The baby has slept right through it. Sanding. He is not. When babies sleep, they sleep pretty hard.
Yeah. So you can keep bring them to the mall. They'll sleep. You don't need to be you know.
Yeah, I just never, you know, honestly, I never thought that I would be in this position. I never thought that I would ever be a mom. But it has changed my life for the better. And I know it's not for everybody. I know, you know, being a parent's not something that everybody can see themselves doing, but just give you an example, you know, like I never thought it would happen to me, and I kind of, you know, was ambivalent toward it. And now I can't imagine being anything else.
That's great.
He's just the best thing that I've ever done.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, of course. I mean, to me, it's more people that don't necessarily want kids. I can't understand it. I understand how you'd want it, but like, I still think it's like one of the best thing for, you know, a person to do with it is to bring somebody into the world. I think it's awesome. It's obviously easier as a guy to say because we're not the one going through 9 months of hell, but yeah, I mean, I understand. I could see how you could feel this way.
Yeah. So now it's just, you know, adapting to being a mom and figuring out what I'm going to do when I go back to work. I mean, that's going to be something else. Jared went back to work last week and it went fine. But for me, I don't really know what that's going to look like. I mean,
when are you supposed to get back to work?
In March.
In March. I mean, I know my buddy has a 9-month-old, right?
Yeah.
Like they went through the whole thing, and you know, they're both back at work, and you know, they have a nanny now throughout the day, and then when he's not working, he's taking care of the baby, and then so I mean, there's definitely ways.
It does get easier. I mean, I was told like 3-4 months out,
and then eventually,
then they're starting to sleep on their own like throughout the night, and they don't require.
He sleeps like 8 hours now.
Oh God, that sounds like a dream.
8 hours a night, and
That's
he's just
an
like,
dream.
that's it.
Yeah.
Well, you can drink coffee again.
I can drink coffee again. I can drink again too. I mean, I've been
breastfeeding.
Well, I have a it's this thing called a milk screen.
Yeah.
And you it's like a test strip. You drop it in your breast milk if you think you've had too much to drink, and it tells you whether it detects alcohol in your breast milk.
Okay.
So what I'll usually do, and I'm not like crazy with you got to breastfeed, breast is best, whatever. I'm not like that. I think that, you know, a baby being fed is the best thing, period. And a lot of breast milk is not garbage, you know? So I was fed on breast milk, or I was fed on formula is what I meant to say. And I'm fine. Jared was fed on formula. He's fine. So I kind of feel like, you know, we do a combination of both, and that's fine. And if I have a couple of margaritas, which my mom visited here and we went to a Mexican restaurant, got a little tipsy, then I just use formula to feed. Not a big deal.
Yeah,
I don't think moms should stress themselves out any more than they have to.
Yeah.
To be honest. I mean, it's enough stress. Like, why put extra added pressure on yourself to now you're going to take away like any kind of fun that you might like, because you really can't drink that much caffeine either if
Yeah.
you're still breastfeeding. It's like, give yourself a break.
Have fun, basically.
Go have fun. Exactly. Have as much fun as you can right now as a new mother. Don't take those extra things away from you if you don't want, you know. So I'm not shy about that. I will definitely do formula on top of breast milk. Not a big deal.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now New Year's with a new baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm so used to New Year's, like balling out, like going out and like just.
Yeah, I'll be a different New Year's.
Girls. Yeah, it'll be a lot different this year. I won't make it to midnight. I can guarantee you.
You will? You will make it?
I won't.
Okay, so hold on, because we had an actual, that would be a great time to do one question of the audience. We had someone talk about getting out of the maybe zone.
Okay.
Which is
you
know this guy or girl likes you, but you can't really tell where they stand regarding something more permanent. How do you talk to them? How do you say what you want? For example, a relationship with them, and be transparent and really honest with yourself. Like, what do you want? How do you feel? And be okay with the answer regardless of the outcome. It says somebody from Switzerland, which love the podcast. So basically, it's like I'm assuming it's like you're kind of dating someone and you like them, and you're in this kind of like, yeah, maybe we'll be something, maybe we won't. How do you get out of that?
Yeah.
Oof.
That's a really tough.
Yeah, I mean, I think they kind of insert it in the sense of like, you just gotta be honest.
I think that if you don't know after a certain time, you're never gonna know.
I think they're talking about getting out of the maybe zone for the other partner.
Oh, okay.
They know they would want more, but like they don't know this other partner. Like they don't know if the partner want more.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So like if you have to look at it from the perspective of the other person, like if they don't know now, odds are they're never going to know.
Depends on how long
together too, though.
How long you guys been hanging out?
Yeah, that depends. If you've been hanging out for a few months and they still don't know if they're ready for a full-fledged commitment, move on, because they're never going to know.
Really? How long? What's your
I would say 3 months is the time when you either know if you can see yourself in a committed relationship with that person or you don't.
So by committed, you mean being
exclusive?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you can still be exclusive with someone and still be in maybe in the sense, oh yeah, I don't know how long. I mean, it's just like we're exclusive, but I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you get out of that?
I mean, I think it just takes time. If you're willing to be patient.
Yeah, I would say obviously like at least 4 months before want to have that exclusive talk. But then once you guys are exclusive, if you're wondering if they want more than being exclusive, meaning like, okay, like we are not exclusive just for the fun of it. We're exclusive to try and build something. I feel like that just comes with time. You got to wait. Like if you've been exclusive for a few months and it's been a year total, you've been exclusive for 2 years even.
Yeah.
Because it's also like, think about you being in such different stages in your life.
Yeah.
You could be ready to be exclusive with someone, but you might also not be ready to move in with them.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I got still so much to figure out, you know?
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, yeah, everybody hits milestones in their lives, especially if you're like in your early to mid 20s, even late 20s.
Yeah.
I feel like we're always reaching milestones, and if you have a career, it's always changing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to figure out. That's why they say timing is everything, because a lot of times, you might be good on paper, good in theory, but the timing is off and it's not going to work at that moment. If you guys come back together again in the future, then maybe that's a thing, but it has to work out equally for both people.
Now, how would you deal if you're with someone and you are ready to take it to the next milestone? Like you guys are both, together, exclusive relationship, and you're ready to maybe move in with them, but they're not. What do you do if you are, for example, you are with someone, you're in an exclusive relationship, it's been a year or 2 years, let's say it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
You are ready to move in with them.
Yeah.
Right? But they are not. They're like, no, to me, I still need my own spot. For you in that situation, do you wait? Or is it like, oh, you know what, I need to get the fuck out because we're not on the same level of readiness?
Because eventually the person's going to be ready, right?
But some people might say, well, he's not ready, therefore he or she is not ready, therefore they're not, it's not going to go anywhere.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, a lot of people set up boundaries because they've been through different things. Like, I didn't want to move in right away with Jared because of what I had been through in the past.
Yeah.
So it's, it happens. I just kind of feel like everybody takes things at their own pace, and you have to be patient as long as you're willing to go through that. I mean, if you're kind of in a rush to like, all right, like it's now or never,
then get out.
Yeah. Because only where you kind of see yourself going. And if you have these arbitrary, like, I don't want to be still single, in my 40s or whatever, then you're going to have to live your life a little bit differently. But I feel like
make so many bad decisions because now you're pressuring yourself to not be single. So they do everything they can to be in a relationship. And most of the time they end up in a relationship that's not for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So,
these like society pressures that is just ruining everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody has this pressure to do it, and it's just like, what if your relationship is different than the typical so-called like relationship that everybody has, right? What if you have something different, but that works for you? That should be as good as any other traditional relationship.
Yeah, it should be. But
it's not. It's looked down upon, or people don't want it because it's not the traditional way, I find.
Right. So don't put any added pressure on yourself. I mean, I just kind of feel like in that case, it depends on how much you really want this relationship to work and how patient you're willing to be. Because it sounds like this person might be a little more hesitant to get into a full-fledged relationship.
Yeah, so I guess and also be honest. I mean, that's what this person was saying on the question. Is like,
sometimes all it takes is just a conversation. Like, let's air it out. Like, why do you feel this, a certain way? Like, what's holding you back? And sometimes the answer might not be what you expect it to be.
Yeah, but it's better to know.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, this is where I'm at. I want this for us to be, like, said, more exclusive. Are you okay? What are your thoughts? And then just also go with your guts, because people would say, yeah, of course I'm ready to be exclusive, and they're still not are. So it's just like, go with your guts. But definitely have the conversation, and definitely, like, don't back down. Like, stand strong with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, so, this is the end of our 2021 series. A lot happened. And I mean, we're both excited to start 2022 with our Heard At team. And see what it brings. Eventually down the line, we'll have a studio, so we won't have to be doing it like this.
So I won't have to have all these fire hazard plugs around my place right now.
It'll be just nice to go back to normal anyways.
Yeah.
But for everybody who's been with us this year, thank you so much. And only good things are coming next year. It will only get better. So
we hope that good things happen in your lives too.
Yeah, of course.
Good relationships, and good memories to come in 2022. I can feel it. Feel it, right, Jules?
Yeah. Excited.
Right. Yeah.